Ever have one of those days, or maybe one of those weeks, where you just feel kinda blah? You're not depressed, not totally burnt out, but you're definitely not thriving. You're just stuck in this joyless fog. Well, today we're gonna get into exactly what that is, because that feeling has a name, a scientific reason it's happening in your brain, and believe it or not, it might even have a purpose.
The organizational psychologist Adam Grant he absolutely nailed it with this quote. He called this the dominant emotion for a lot of us lately, and it's so true, right? That feeling of muddling through, like you're looking at your own life through a foggy windshield. It's not some huge crisis, but man, it's a long way from feeling good.
So, what is this blah state actually called? Well, the official term for it is languishing. I kind of like to think of it as the forgotten middle child of mental health. It doesn't get nearly as much attention as depression or anxiety, but wow, it affects a ton of us.
So, what does languishing feel like? At its core, it's really just the absence of feeling good. It's that feeling of being totally stuck, like you're just treading water and not getting anywhere. You have this nagging sense that you could be doing more, that you could be feeling better, but the get up and go is just gone. Your default response to pretty much everything is a big ol' meh.
Okay, and this is super, super important to get. Languishing is not a mental illness. We tend to think about mental health as this black or white thing, you know? Either you have a clinical diagnosis or you're fine. But that's not how it works at all. It's a spectrum. On one end, you have flourishing, where you're firing on all cylinders. And on the other end, you've got languishing. This means you can be totally free of a mental illness, but still not be mentally well. You can just be languishing.
So the big question is, why do we get stuck in this rut? Well, to figure that out, we've got to pop the hood and look at what's going on inside our brains. It turns out there's this kind of tug of war happening between two major brain networks.
Yeah, so think of your brain as having two main modes, autopilot and manual control. The autopilot is something called the default mode network, or DMN for short. This is what's running when you're just chilling out, daydreaming, or thinking about yourself and your life. Then you've got manual control. That's the task positive network, or TPN. This is the one that kicks into gear when you need to focus on something, like solving a puzzle or really listening to someone. And normally, these two are supposed to work together in a nice, delicate balance.
But what happens when that balance gets all out of whack? Well, sometimes your brain's autopilot, that default mode network, gets stuck in the on position. So even when you're trying to concentrate, your brain is just wandering around, lost in thought. And that, right there, is the neurological reason we feel so stuck and foggy.
So when that DMN is overactive, it's basically the source code for all those blah feelings. That brain fog, the total lack of motivation, being distracted by everything, yep, that's your DMN. It's also why we get trapped in these loops of replaying the past or stressing about the future. And it's no surprise that researchers see this a lot in conditions like ADHD, PTSD, and anxiety, where people often describe feeling mentally paralyzed.
Okay, so that's the brain science, but hold on a second. What if this whole blah thing isn't just a bug in our system? What if it's actually a feature, a signal from our own psychology? Let's try looking at this feeling not as a problem, but as a search for something much, much deeper, a search for meaning.
And this is where we have to completely rethink what boredom is. We usually think of it as, just not having enough to do. But what if it's way more profound than that? Some researchers are now calling it a crisis of meaning. It's basically your brain sounding an alarm, shouting, hey, this thing we're doing right now, it's pointless. Go find something that actually matters. So that restless, antsy, uncomfortable feeling, it's actually doing a job. Think of it like a compass. Step 1, you feel that sense of meaninglessness. That's your brain's autopilot just spinning its wheels. Step 2, that feeling pushes you. It motivates you to start searching for something better, something more valuable. And step 3, that search drives you to actually do something that brings back that sense of purpose. So you see, boredom isn't the enemy here. It's the kick in the pants we need to find the solution.
Now, this whole internal conflict, this battle between your brain's autopilot and your psyche's search for meaning, it doesn't just stay up in your head. Nope, it has a huge impact on your physical body too. Here's the thing. Your body's nervous system isn't all that sophisticated. It can't really tell the difference between being chased by a lion and being stuck in a long-term mental funk. To your body, stress is stress. And when it feels that prolonged pressure, it does what it's designed to do. It flips on the fight or flight alarm system and just leaves it on.
And that kicks off what's known as a stress cascade. That constant alarm bell tells your adrenal glands to just keep pumping out stress hormones, like cortisol and adrenaline. And when those hormones are floating around in your system 24/7, they start messing with everything else. They can throw off the hormones that manage your sleep, your appetite, even your reproductive system. It's a total domino effect.
And what's the result of all that? Well, you get a whole host of physical symptoms that you might not ever think to connect to that mental blah feeling. Feeling tired all the time? Moody? Tense muscles? Can't sleep? Weird digestive problems? Yeah, that's not just in your head. That's your body physically reacting to being mentally stuck.
Okay, so that might sound a little bleak, but here is the good news. We are absolutely not doomed to stay in this languishing state forever. Now that we know what it is and the science behind it, we can actually talk about how to fight back. Let's get into the practical stuff, how to move from blah to flourishing.
And let's remember that key idea we talked about earlier. The goal isn't just to stop feeling bad. The goal is to start feeling good. It's about actively building a state of well-being. So how do we do it? It really boils down to a three-part strategy. We've got to tackle the brain, the body, and that deep-seated need for meaning.
All right, strategy number 1, we have to take back control from that overactive autopilot in your brain. You have to consciously switch on your manual control, that task-positive network. How? By doing something that demands your full attention. It could be a challenging task at work, a 5-minute mindfulness exercise, or even trying to learn something new, like a language or an instrument. Anything that forces your brain to focus will break that aimless wandering cycle.
Strategy 2, we have to calm down the body's alarm system. It's time to turn the volume down on that constant fight or flight feeling. You know, regular exercise is amazing for this. It literally helps burn off those excess stress hormones. Simple deep breathing exercises send a direct message to your nervous system that everything is okay, it's safe to chill out, and getting on a consistent sleep schedule, that's like hitting a reset button for your entire hormonal system.
And last but not least, strategy number 3, we have to listen to that boredom compass. It's time to fuel your meaning engine. And look, this doesn't mean you have to go out and save the world tomorrow. It's about proactively finding things that feel valuable to you. Don't wait for purpose to just show up. Go find it. Call a friend, help someone out, get lost in a hobby you're passionate about. Anything that gives you that sense of connection and purpose. So, I want to leave you with this idea. That blah feeling, that sense of being stuck, what if it isn't a bug? What if it's a feature? What if it's a built-in compass? A fundamental part of our psychology that's just trying to tell us that we've wandered off our path. If that's true, then the question we should be asking ourselves isn't, why do I feel so blah, but what is this feeling telling me I need to go find?